Joe, kind of to wrap this up, you had mentioned something else kind of prior about, getting financially set up for leads and kind of changing kind of how your perspective is on that. Can you speak to that as we kind of wrap this thing up?
Yeah. So once I started seeing a track record of success recently, I was still in this position where just because I didn't have a fat bankroll and I just didn't have cash to be buying leads over and over again, I was in this position where even though I'd have a good week, I'd have to wait on the money I made that week to buy my next batch of leads, or I might have enough money to buy leads next week, but the week after that, I'm not going to have the money. And so I got to wait on the advances for this week, if that makes sense. And so what I did was after I started tracking my numbers and I started seeing that I started scaling and I started realizing, man, I'm like making money in a really consistent way. Uh, I went out and secured some financing so that I basically had enough cash to buy leads every week for about 4 or 5 weeks ahead of me. And so then now it's like if I have a bad week, I still have bad weeks here, and that's part of the game, you know. But I just am able to let the business work for me. I let the numbers work for me by being able to buy leads every Friday and just keep working the system. And if you work the system, in my case, working Dave's system, if you work it and you just keep buying the leads, then even though you have a bad week, just it's going to work out and the money is going to start flowing in. So yeah, so I think what it comes down to is a confidence thing. Confidence training is, I think, an antidote to lack of confidence. So if you're afraid of spending the money or putting up the money like that, do the training, track your numbers, and you have to step out on a little bit of faith there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I did to get the game rolling.
Yeah. And that's great that you did that. A couple of thoughts here. Number one, I've always been leery of recommending people go into debt or take out debt.
Yeah.
But I can say for myself personally, I would not be here if I didn't have that final credit card with 5,000 in credit line with Discover that I put my first batch of direct mail leads on. Like that was the kind of a door hinge my business, the long arc of it was based on. It was that like, well, I don't have money, so I better just max out my last credit card. Oh, well, if I got a bankrupt, so what? At that point, that's how my mindset was. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have that. So I used to not talk about credit, but I think, guys, cash is king. In business, cash is king. In insurance sales, final expense, cash is king. If you don't have cash flow and cash on hand, it's very hard to run this business. That's why we require agents to have money for leads up front now as we recruit, because if you don't have money in a suitable amount, your days are numbered, especially if you're running an independent brokerage model where you buy leads. So having the ability to have access to funds to pay is critical. And you don't need like 50,000 at all, anywhere close to that. You just need enough to get leads, to have an opportunity to sell, because you should be able to cover the investment pretty quickly after a sale or two, and then kind of self-finance from the leads or from your sales itself. So that can't be understated. I will mention, if you guys are interested, we have a relationship with a financing company that will shop for financing opportunities to fund your business. That's at davidduford.com/FAQ if you're interested. You don't even have to work with me to get access to that, just to throw that out there. So long story short, Joe, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of relay your experience, not just on the great weeks you're having and the exceptional week you had last week, but really to show agents out there what you need to do to change your circumstances, what steps
Yeah.
you need to take. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just agreeing with you. But there is one thing I would like to say, especially to new agents, just that I've learned the hard way. I truly feel that if I would have everything that I've been doing the last few months, if I would have just stuck to that in the beginning of my insurance career, I think the agent that I am today, I think instead of banging myself around in this business for, last 4 or 5 years, losing money, struggling, just having to supplement my income, have to really struggle. I feel like the agent I am today, if I would have just followed Dave's system to the T and done and stuck to the training, I would have been this agent about a year into the business. It wouldn't have took me 4 years of banging my head around. So for new agents, just follow the system, do the training, and get out there and work it, and don't deviate.
Great, Joe.
You can save a lot of money and time.
Thank you for sharing that. The agents need to hear this, whether they work for me. If you're interested, davidduford.com/FAQ. Whether you don't work for me, no truer words can be said. Just discipline yourself. This ultimately is a game about not your competition externally, but the competition internally. It's that which you have to defeat to have any sort of semblance of success in this business. So, Joe, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, take care.